So today we are talking about Pinterest suspension. Dun, dun, dun. Last Thursday, all heck broke loose and all my clients were calling me. I got an email also that my account was suspended, and it's the first time I got that ever. And everyone freaked out. Some Pinterest friends and I have been talking and noted that this happened to so many people all at one time on the same day that we knew it was either a fluke or something like that. And we ended up getting an email after stating exactly that. But it's a great opportunity to talk about Pinterest suspensions. What are they? All these kinds of things. So first thing I want you to know is that a Pinterest suspension is that when your Pinterest is suspended, you have no access to it and nobody can see it. It's like physically removed from Pinterest, which is scary. It is typically only done if you are spammy or you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. And it's very rare that it would happen to somebody who's not spammy, but it can happen. And in the email, when you're told that you're suspended, there's a link that you click on that lets you say, hey, this was a mistake, basically. And either it's reinstated, which for me, it was done right away. For others, on that fated Thursday last week, which was June? I don't even know. 4th, maybe something like that. On that date, there was so many people that had been suspended that I think the servers were overwhelmed because there was an error message at first when people first clicked on the email. And so that's nerve-wracking, obviously. But typically you click on the email, and I'll go over other things like that as well. What we found out with a follow-up email that was apologizing for, sorry for my dog, that was apologizing for it. It was either a mistake or it was cleaning out bots and things. I don't think they do it this crazily. I think it's more targeted normally, but I know I would believe that Pinterest does a clean out because bots and fake people most likely aren't going to click on that link, right? So it's a way to clean out things. What some of my clients experienced and myself as well is a drop in followers. That happened for a majority of the people. A couple of my clients lost all their followers, and I can't imagine that all their followers were not real people because I was following them. But crazy things happen, mistakes happen, and that's just what happened. That number will grow ordinarily when you have a loss in followers, not on something like this, but when you do have a loss of followers, it's really important that you be okay with that, even on Instagram, because the reason is people don't want to follow you anymore. They're not your ideal client. They're not going to buy from you, and they don't want to see your content, or they're not real. And either way, you don't want them following you. So it's not a problem when followers decrease. We do want to try to grow our following. That is, something that we do want to do. It does tell Pinterest that we're valuable, but it's not anything to get worried about if it drops, because you'll know that the people that are following you want to follow you. We had, my friends, Pinterest expert friends, and I really suspected it was a mistake. And it ended up being a mistake because there's a lot of people. But normally, when there's a glitch or a mistake, systems are created by people and people make mistakes. And so things like this are going to happen from time to time on social media platforms. It's not unusual. And, mistakes happen. Everything was reinstated right away for every person that I spoke with. So they clearly, fixed it. But it's a good reminder that you want to make sure that the stuff you're delivering on Pinterest is valuable for your ideal client. And then Pinterest will then send that out to people that it makes sense for. And, the user experience is very important to Pinterest. They have told us that a number of times. So we want to make sure that the stuff that we're putting out there has a great user experience as well. And anytime something like this happens, I am a cup half full type of girl, and I would want to find a positive out of it. And the way that you can look at when something like this happens is that you can make sure that you are doing everything right, that you're not just throwing pins up to throw pins up, that you're actually creating good quality content that people will enjoy and consume. It's a good reminder to be diversified, right? You want to be on Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook, and if it makes sense for you, LinkedIn or Twitter also. But there's also ways of doing that smart. Like for me, Facebook is not super important. And so I do auto post to Facebook. That is not ideal for Facebook and for a Facebook strategy. But I know that my focus is on Instagram and Pinterest, and I'm going to be okay with that while still delivering information to people. Right? Make sure that you're considering being diversified. If you're only on Instagram, consider being on Pinterest and that kind of thing. It's also a really good reminder that the strategy that you're using, that it not be old. Pinterest updates constantly. And in my Pinterest Strategy Academy, which is my group membership, it's where we all get together and pin together. Plus, they have access to me for advice on them and their business and their strategy. But the things that we go over are all the new things that come out. For instance, which we're going to be talking about next week, idea pins. They were formerly story pins. They're now called idea pins, right? We'll talk about all of that next week on my live next week, but it's a good thing that you be using those, just as a heads up. Also, that you're not using a strategy that you found from someone, a year ago, because things have changed tremendously in only a year. For instance, you shouldn't be using hashtags. Hashtags should not be being used. And they used to not hurt the account. And now looking at my clients' accounts, the ones that have or are using hashtags are not getting the reach that they got before with regards to analytics. And now they're not using them and they have increased their analytics. So that shows me or tells me that using hashtags should not be occurring anymore. You also should be pinning less than 20 or 25 times a day or less. You shouldn't be pinning way more than that at all. My clients, I do advise really not more than 20 unless their whole thing is a ton of new content that's amazing. Then okay, do 25 times a day. But even myself, I don't pin 25 times a day. You also don't want to pin for more than 10 boards. Tailwind is a great third-party tool to utilize because they will warn you if you got to 10 boards. And if you're really honest, you only want to pin to the boards that really make sense. So chances are that's more like 5 or 6 boards. If it's a little more, great. If it's a little less, great. You want to be pinning to the appropriate boards because that really is going to help you get more reach and better analytics overall. And finally, if you are suspended, you're going to click on that link. You're going to either instantly get it fixed. That doesn't always happen. It did happen this time for me. And you can wait a few days because chances are a human is going to be reviewing it. If the algorithm claimed that it's spammy, then a human will actually look at it and see if that's the case. If you don't hear back for a couple days, then you do want to send a message to the help, and that I have that help link if you want. It's just a general help link. But I feel like you want to take a deep breath and not freak out. Consider it like a 2-day vacation from Pinterest and keep creating content. And when you're ready and when you're back up and running again, you can get back onto Pinterest and it will all work out. So I hope that I see you guys next week on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we're going to be talking all about idea pins. I'll see you later. Bye.